They shot my son 9 times in the chest. 9 times. The doctors said it was a miracle he was still breathing when the ambulance arrived. But miracles don't happen by accident. My boy fought like hell to survive. And the man who pulled that trigger? He had no idea what he'd just unleashed. Because while he knew me as Natalie's ex-husband, the guy who paid child support and showed up quiet to custody exchanges, he didn't know what I really was. Hit like, subscribe for more betrayal stories, and comment your city or country. I was in Virginia Beach when my phone rang. 2:47 a.m. I'd been back stateside for exactly 11 days after an 8-month deployment that I still can't talk about. The kind of deployment where you come home different, where you've seen things that regular people can't even imagine. I was supposed to have 3 weeks of leave, time to decompress, time to reconnect with Ryder. But that phone call ended everything. Is this Victor Brennan? The voice was female, professional, detached. Yeah. Who's this? This is Mercy General Hospital in Richmond. Your son, Ryder Brennan, was brought in by ambulance approximately 40 minutes ago with multiple gunshot wounds. He's in emergency surgery right now. You need to get here immediately. The phone almost slipped from my hand. Multiple gunshot wounds. Ryder, my 16-year-old son. The kid who just sent me a text yesterday saying he couldn't wait to see me this weekend. What happened? My voice came out steady. SEAL training does that. Even when your world is collapsing, your voice stays level. I don't have those details, sir. But you need to come now. It's critical. I was dressed and in my truck in under 3 minutes. The 2-hour drive to Richmond became 90 minutes. I don't remember most of it. Just flashes. Headlights. Empty highway. My hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. And Ryder's face. God, his face. Smiling at me the last time I'd seen him, 3 months ago before this last deployment. He'd grown taller, his voice deeper. Looked more like a man than a boy. He'd hugged me tight at the airport and said, "Be safe, Dad. Come back." I came back. But what was I coming back to? Multiple gunshot wounds. My phone rang again. Natalie, my ex-wife. I answered. What the hell happened? She was crying, hysterical. Victor, I'm so sorry, Natalie. What happened? It was Dominic. They got into an argument, and Dominic, he pulled out his gun, and, oh God, Victor, there was so much blood. My foot pressed harder on the gas. Dominic shot our son. He said it was self-defense. He said Ryder came at him with a knife, but I don't. I don't know what happened. I wasn't in the room. I just heard the shots, and where are you? At the hospital. They won't let me see him. He's in surgery, and they won't tell me anything. I hung up. Couldn't listen to her voice anymore. Dominic, her new husband. The guy she'd married 8 months after our divorce was finalized. Some hotshot real estate developer with too much money and too much ego. I'd met him exactly 3 times. Each time, I'd gotten a bad feeling. The way he looked at people. The way he talked to Natalie. Just a little too controlling, a little too possessive. But Ryder never complained. When I'd ask how things were at Mom's house, he'd just shrug and say it was fine. Fine. That word kids use when they don't want to worry you. I should have pushed harder. Should have seen something. Should have, no. Not now. Later. Right now, I needed to get to my son. Mercy General's emergency entrance was lit up like a prison yard. I parked in a no parking zone and didn't care. Ran through the sliding doors. The antiseptic smell hit me immediately. Hospitals all smell the same, whether they're in Virginia or Afghanistan. Ryder Brennan. I told the woman at the desk. Gunshot victim. Where is he? She typed quickly. Are you family? I'm his father. 3rd floor, surgical wing. But sir, he's still in surgery. I was already moving. Found the stairs, took them 3 at a time. 3rd floor, surgical wing. Found the waiting area. And there she was. Natalie. She looked destroyed. Makeup smeared, eyes red and swollen, hands shaking. She saw me and stood up, mouth opening, but I walked right past her. Straight to the nurse's station. Ryder Brennan. I'm his father. What's his status? The nurse, an older woman with kind eyes, looked at me with sympathy. He's still in surgery, Mr. Brennan. Dr. Patterson is the lead surgeon. He'll come out and speak with you as soon as— How bad? She hesitated. Multiple gunshot wounds to the chest. 9 entry wounds. He lost a significant amount of blood. He was very lucky the ambulance arrived when it did. 9 times. Someone shot my son 9 times. Did they get all the bullets out? Dr. Patterson is working on that now. I'm sorry, that's all I can tell you. But he's in the best hands possible. I nodded, turned around. Natalie was standing there, tears streaming down her face. Victor, please, where is he? My voice was quiet. Dangerous. Who? Dominic. Where is he? Downstairs. Talking to the police. Victor, he's claiming self-defense. He said Ryder attacked him, and you believe him? Her face crumpled. I don't know what to believe. I heard them arguing, heard it getting louder, and then gunshots. So many gunshots. And when I ran in, Ryder was on the floor and Dominic was holding the gun, and how many shots did it take for you to run in? I asked. She blinked. What? You heard them arguing. You heard gunshots. How many shots before you ran into the room? I don't, maybe 3? 4? It happened so fast. He shot our son 9 times, Natalie. 9. Even if Ryder had a knife, even if he did attack him, which I don't believe for a second, how do you shoot a 16-year-old kid 9 times and call it self-defense? She had no answer, just stood there crying. I sat down, put my head in my hands, tried to breathe, tried to think. This was wrong. All of it. Ryder wasn't violent. He played football, got decent grades, stayed out of trouble. And even if he did have a knife, even if there was an argument, 9 shots? No, this was something else. The question was, what? Hours passed. For hours. Natalie sat across from me, silent. A detective came up, young guy, late 20s, introduced himself as Detective Blake Morrison. Asked me questions. Where was I? When did I last speak to Ryder? Did he have any history of violence? I answered everything calmly. Told him I was a Navy SEAL, just back from deployment. Told him Ryder was a good kid. Told him this smelled wrong. Blake nodded, took notes, said they were investigating thoroughly. Finally, at 6:43 a.m., a surgeon in blue scrubs walked into the waiting room. Family of Ryder Brennan? I stood up. Natalie rushed over. Dr. Patterson looked exhausted. He made it through surgery. We removed 8 bullets. 1 is too close to his heart to extract safely right now. We'll monitor it. He's lost a lot of blood, but he's stable. Critical, but stable. Can I see him? I asked. He's in ICU. Sedated. But yes, you can see him. 1 at a time. I looked at Natalie. You go first. She shook her head. No. You. Please. He want to see you first. We walked to the ICU. Dr. Patterson led me to a room. And there he was. My son. Tubes everywhere. Machines beeping. Bandages across his chest. His face was pale, so pale. Bruises on his arms. He looked small in that hospital bed. Like a kid again. I sat down next to him. Took his hand carefully. Hey, buddy, I whispered. Dad's here. I'm here now. And I promise you, whoever did this isn't getting away with it. His fingers twitched. His eyes moved behind his eyelids. And then, barely audible, like a ghost of a whisper, he spoke. Dad, he said you'd never find out. My blood went cold. Ryder's words echoed in my head for the rest of that morning. He said you'd never find out. Find out what? The nurse came in and checked his vitals, adjusted something on one of the monitors. I didn't move from his bedside, just kept holding his hand, watching his chest rise and fall with the help of machines. Dr. Patterson came back around 8. We're keeping him in a medically induced coma for now, he explained. His body needs time to heal. The trauma was significant. When will he wake up? Could be days. Could be a week. We'll reduce sedation gradually and see how he responds. I nodded. I'm not leaving. The ICU allows family to stay, but I'm not leaving, I repeated. He understood. Left me alone. Around 9, Detective Blake came back. This time he had a partner with him, an older detective named Chun. They wanted to talk. I stepped out of Ryder's room, but stayed where I could see him through the window. We interviewed Dominic Ashford last night, Blake said. He claims your son came at him with a kitchen knife during an argument about disrespecting his mother. Says he feared for his life and fired in self-defense. 9 times, I said flatly. Chin shifted his weight. Mr. Ashford has a concealed carry permit. The weapon was registered, and he did call 911 immediately after the shooting. After he shot a 16-year-old kid 9 times. Did you find this knife? We did. 8-inch chef's knife. Found near your son's body. Something cold settled in my gut. Near his body. Not in his hand. Blake glanced at Chun. The scene was chaotic. Your ex-wife was trying to help your son. There was blood everywhere. Which hand? I asked. Excuse me. Ryder's right-handed. When you found this knife, which side of his body was it on? Blake flipped through his notepad. Left side. About 3 feet away. So my right-handed son supposedly attacked a grown man with a knife, and that knife ended up on his left side, 3 feet away, after he got shot 9 times? I kept my voice calm. Professional. Does that make sense to you, detective? Chun crossed his arms. We're investigating all possibilities, Mr. Brennan. But you need to understand, Dominic Ashford is cooperating fully. He seems genuinely shaken by what happened. I'm sure he does. We'll be conducting a full forensic analysis, Blake added. Gunshot residue, blood spatter patterns, all of it. If there's evidence this wasn't self-defense, we'll find it. How long will that take? Few days. Maybe a week. A week. While Dominic walked free. Is he being charged with anything? Not yet. He hasn't been arrested. But he's been advised not to leave the state. They asked me a few more questions about Ryder's behavior, his relationship with Dominic, any previous incidents. I told them the truth. I'd been deployed most of the past 2 years. I saw Ryder when I could, but it wasn't enough. He lived with Natalie. I was the weekend dad, the phone call dad, the dad who sent letters from countries he couldn't name. After they left, I went back to Ryder's room. A different nurse was there now, younger, checking his 4 lines. You're his father? She asked softly. Yeah. I was on the ambulance last night. When we brought him in. She hesitated. He was conscious for a few minutes. Kept trying to talk. I turned to her. What did he say? Most of it was unclear. But he kept saying something about a basement. Check the basement. Over and over. Then he lost consciousness. Check the basement. Did you tell the police? I mentioned it to them, yes. They said they'd look into it. She finished her checks and left. I sat back down, my mind racing. What was in the basement? Natalie and Dominic lived in his house in Richmond, some big colonial in a nice neighborhood. I'd only been there once, to drop Ryder off after a weekend visit. Never went inside. Checked the basement. The door opened. Natalie walked in, and behind her was Dominic. I stood up slowly. Dominic Ashford was 42, tall, athletic build, expensive clothes even now. His face was carefully arranged into an expression of remorse and shock. But his eyes were calculating, watching, measuring. Victor, he said quietly, I am so sorry about what happened. I never wanted, get out. He blinked. I understand you're upset, but get out. Natalie stepped forward. Victor, please. He's here too. He shot our son 9 times, Natalie. And you brought him into Ryder's hospital room. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. Get him out of here before I do something I'll regret. Dominic raised his hands. I understand your anger. But you weren't there. You don't know what happened. Ryder came at me with a knife, and I reacted. It was instinct. I didn't mean to shoot him 9 times. Which shot was instinct, Dominic? The first one? Or the 9th? His jaw tightened. Just for a second, I saw it, the mask slipping. The real man underneath. Cold. Controlled. Dangerous. Then it was gone. Back to remorseful. The police have my full cooperation, he said. I'm sure once they complete their investigation, you'll understand this was a tragic accident. I care about Ryder. I never wanted to hurt him. You don't get to say his name. Silence. Natalie was crying again. Dominic stared at me, and I stared back. Something passed between us. Recognition. He saw something in me he hadn't expected, and I saw exactly what he was. A liar. Come on, Natalie, he said finally, putting his hand on her shoulder. Possessive. Let's give Victor some space. They left. I watched them walk down the hallway through the window. Watched how Dominic's hand gripped Natalie's shoulder just a little too tight. Watched how she flinched. Something was very, very wrong here. I pulled out my phone and made a call. It rang 4 times before a familiar voice answered. Victor? Jesus, man, I heard what happened. How's Ryder? Julian Cross. Former Marine, now a private investigator. We'd served together years ago. He's alive. Barely. Julian, I need your help. Anything. Name it. I need you to dig into someone. Dominic Ashford. Real estate developer in Richmond. Everything you can find. Criminal history, business dealings, personal life. All of it. Give me 24 hours. 12. Done. Victor, you okay? No. But I will be. I hung up and sat back down next to Ryder. The machines beeped steadily. His chest rose and fell. Somewhere down the hall, I could hear Natalie and Dominic talking. Her voice soft, pleading. His voice firm, controlled. Check the basement. He said you'd never find out. I leaned close to Ryder's ear and whispered, I don't know what you found, son. But I promise you, I'm going to figure it out. And whoever did this to you is going to answer for it. His hand was warm in mine. His pulse steady on the monitor. Outside the window, dawn was breaking over Richmond. A new day. But everything had changed. My son was fighting for his life. And I was about to go to war. 3 days passed. Ryder remained in his coma, stable but silent. I stayed at the hospital, leaving only for quick showers at a nearby motel. The nurses knew me by name now. They'd bring me coffee without asking, update me on every small change in Ryder's condition. Julian called on the second day. Got something, he said. Dominic Ashford isn't as clean as he looks. Sealed juvenile record from when he was 17, aggravated assault. Beat up a girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, put him in the hospital. His family's money made it go away. What else? First marriage ended badly. Wife filed for divorce citing domestic abuse, but dropped the charges 2 weeks later. Settlement agreement included an NDA. She got the house and a substantial payout. Disappeared to California. My grip tightened on the phone. He has a history of violence. And that's not all. His real estate business? It's successful, but there have been whispers. 3 former business partners sued him over the past 5 years. All cases settled out of court. One partner claimed Dominic threatened his family when he tried to expose financial irregularities. Can you prove any of this? Working on it. But Victor, this guy is connected. He's got lawyers, money, and friends in high places. You're going to need more than suspicion. I'll get more. After hanging up, I realized I needed to talk to someone who knew Ryder's daily life. Someone he trusted. Mason Rivera, Ryder's best friend since middle school. I found his number in my phone. Ryder had given it to me months ago in case of emergencies. I texted him, asking to meet. He responded within minutes. Said he'd been wanting to talk to me. We met at a coffee shop near his school that afternoon. Mason was a tall kid, skinny, nervous energy. His eyes were red. He'd been crying. Mr. Brennan, he said, sitting down across from me. How's Ryder? Still in a coma. But he's fighting. Mason nodded, swallowed hard. The news is saying it was self-defense. That Ryder attacked Mr. Ashford with a knife. That's bullshit. I know. Ryder was scared of that guy. He never said it directly, but I could tell. In the last few weeks, he was acting weird. Paranoid. I leaned forward. What do you mean? He kept saying he found something. Something bad. He wouldn't tell me what. Just that it was at his mom's house, and if anything happened to him, I should tell someone. My pulse quickened. Did he say what it was? No. But he was taking pictures, recording stuff on his phone. He said he needed evidence before he could go to anyone. Mason's voice cracked. I should have made him tell me. Should have gone to the cops myself. This isn't your fault, Mason. He texted me the night it happened. Around 8. Said he was going to confront Mr. Ashford, that he couldn't wait anymore, that his mom was in danger. I told him not to wait, to call you first. But he said there wasn't time. Tears ran down Mason's face. I should have called 911. Should have done something. I put my hand on his shoulder. You were a good friend. Ryder knew that. Is he going to be okay? Yeah, I said, though I wasn't sure. He's going to be okay. Mason wiped his eyes. There's something else. Ryder gave me his laptop like 2 weeks ago. Said to hold on to it, not to open it. Just keep it safe. I still have it. Everything stopped. Where is it? At my house. You want it? Yes. Now. 20 minutes later, I had Ryder's laptop in my hands. Mason's parents weren't home. He led me to his room, pulled the laptop from under his bed. The password's his birthday, Mason said. June 12, 2009. I opened it. The desktop background was a photo of Ryder and me from 3 years ago, fishing trip in Montana. Before the divorce. Before everything fell apart. Focus. I searched through his files. School projects. Music. Games. Nothing unusual. But then I found a folder buried deep in his documents, labeled Research Project, Do Not Open. Inside were hundreds of files. Photos. Videos. Documents. But when I tried to open them, a password prompt appeared. Encrypted. Did he say anything about a password? I asked Mason. No. Just to keep it safe. I stared at the screen. Ryder had encrypted these files. Whatever was in here, it was important enough to hide. Important enough to die for. My phone rang. Detective Blake. Mr. Brennan, wanted to update you. We completed the forensic analysis of the scene. And blood spatter patterns are consistent with Dominic Ashford's account. Gunshot residue on both his hands and your son's clothing. The knife had your son's fingerprints on it. That doesn't mean I know what you're thinking. But from a legal standpoint, this looks like self-defense. The DA's office reviewed it. They're not pressing charges. You're joking. I'm sorry. I know this isn't what you wanted to hear. But without evidence contradicting his story, I'll get you evidence. Mr. Brennan, I understand you're upset, but you need to let us do our job. I hung up. Mason was watching me. They're not arresting him. Not yet. But they would. Whatever was on this laptop, it was the key. I just had to unlock it. I thanked Mason, took the laptop, and drove back to the hospital. Stopped by Ryder's room first. Natalie was there, sitting in the chair I usually occupied. She looked exhausted. Defeated. Victor, she said when she saw me. Can we talk? Where's Dominic? At work. He thinks it's better if he's not here when you're around. Smart man. She stood up, came closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I need to tell you something. But not here. Please. Meet me tomorrow morning. That diner on Broad Street. 10 o'clock. Why not tell me now? Her eyes darted to the door. Fear. Real fear. Because he tracks my phone. Checks my messages. I had to delete this conversation the second I'm done. Please, Victor. I need help. Ryder needs help. Something in her voice made me believe her. 10 o'clock, I agreed. She nodded, touched Ryder's hand once, and left quickly. I sat down with the laptop, opened it again, stared at those encrypted files. What did you find, son? And then I remembered something. A conversation from years ago. Ryder asking me about passwords, about keeping things safe. I taught him a system. Something only he and I would know. I typed, seal, 06122009. Victor, the files unlocked. And what I saw made my blood run cold. The first video started playing automatically. Date stamp, 3 weeks ago. Location, the kitchen in Dominic's house. The camera angle was awkward. Ryder must have hidden his phone somewhere, propped it up to record without being seen. Dominic's voice came first, cold and sharp. I told you not to question me about my business, Natalie. I just asked where the money came from. My ex-wife's voice, small, frightened. And I said it's none of your concern. A pause. Then the sound of something hitting a wall. You're getting too curious. Just like your son. Please, don't bring Ryder into this. Your son is a problem. Little Snoop. I've seen him watching me. Recording things. You think I don't notice? He's just a kid. He's a threat. The video ended. My hands were shaking. I opened another file. This one was from the basement. Ryder must have gone down there when no one was home. The footage showed filing cabinets, a desk covered in papers. Ryder's hands appeared in frame, flipping through documents. I paused the video, zoomed in on the papers. Financial records. Shell companies. Transfers between accounts. Property deals with prices that didn't match market value. Names I didn't recognize. And notes in Dominic's handwriting. Belgrade connection, 2.3 M clean, and Miami drop, confirmed Tuesday. Money laundering. Dominic Ashford wasn't just a successful real estate developer. He was washing money for someone. Criminals. Maybe worse. I kept watching. Video after video. Audio recordings. Photographs. Ryder had been documenting everything for weeks. One recording made me stop breathing. Dominic and another man. Conversation from what sounded like his office. The other voice was older, rougher, with an accent I couldn't quite place. You said you could keep this operation quiet, Ashford. I can. I have. Then explain why your stepson has been taking pictures of my properties. Silence. I'll handle it. You better. Because if this kid talks, if any of this gets traced back to me, you won't just lose your business. You'll lose everything. Understood? Understood. Make the problem disappear. Make the problem disappear. They were talking about Ryder. My son. They were discussing eliminating him like he was a business liability. And 2 days after that recording, Dominic shot him. This wasn't an argument that got out of hand. This wasn't self-defense. This was attempted murder. I copied everything to a thumb drive. Then another. Then uploaded it all to an encrypted cloud storage. No way was I losing this evidence. My phone buzzed. Text from Julian. Found something else. Dominic's business partner, guy named Viktor Kozlov. Russian national, suspected ties to organized crime. FBI has had him under surveillance for 2 years, but no arrests. Be careful. I stared at Ryder's face on the hospital bed across the room through the window. This kid, my 16-year-old son, had stumbled onto a criminal operation and tried to expose it. Tried to protect his mother. And it nearly killed him. The door opened. A nurse came in to check vitals. I closed the laptop quickly. Everything okay? She asked. Yeah. Fine. She looked at me skeptically but didn't push. Did her checks and left. I needed to think. Needed to plan. Part of me wanted to march straight to Dominic's house and end this the way I'd been trained to end threats. Quick. Efficient. Permanent. But that's not who I was anymore. Not here. Not in America. Not with my son fighting for his life down the hall. I needed to be smart. Strategic. Dominic had connections. Money. Lawyers. And apparently, ties to Russian organized crime. If I went to the local police with this, even to Detective Blake, there was a chance it would disappear. Evidence could vanish. Witnesses could be intimidated. I needed someone with more authority. Someone who couldn't be bought. I pulled out my phone and searched for the FBI field office in Richmond. Found a number. But before I could call, I stopped. Tomorrow morning. Natalie wanted to meet. She'd said she needed help, that Ryder needed help. She knew something. And if I was going to build a case against Dominic, I needed her testimony. I set an alarm for 8 a.m. and tried to sleep in the chair next to Ryder's bed. Didn't work. Kept seeing those videos. Hearing Dominic's voice. Make the problem disappear. At dawn, I went to the hospital chapel. Hadn't prayed in years, not since Afghanistan. But I sat there anyway in the empty room. Thought about Ryder. About the kid he was. Smart. Brave. Stupid brave, doing what he did. Like his father. At 9:30, I drove to the diner on Broad Street. Got there early, ordered coffee I didn't drink. Watched the door. Natalie arrived at exactly 10. She wore sunglasses even though the sky was overcast. Sat down across from me without taking them off. Thank you for coming, she said quietly. Take off the glasses, Natalie. Victor, take them off. She did. Bruise on her left cheek, partially covered with makeup. Fresh. Maybe a day old. He did that. She nodded. After he found out I was here yesterday. He checked the hospital's visitor log somehow. Saw I'd been there when he wasn't. Accused me of talking to you about the case. Did you tell him what you told me? No. God, no. If he knew I was meeting you now, her voice broke. Victor, I'm scared. I've been scared for months. But after what happened to Ryder, I can't. I can't keep pretending everything's okay. Tell me everything. And she did. She told me about the first time Dominic hit her, 6 months after they got married. How he'd apologized, bought her flowers, promised it would never happen again. How it happened again anyway. And again. She told me about the men who came to the house late at night. Rough men with accents and cold eyes. How Dominic would meet them in his office, and she'd hear raised voices, threats, things breaking. She told me about the money. Stacks of cash that would appear and disappear. Envelopes full of hundreds. Wire transfers from companies she'd never heard of. I wanted to leave, she whispered. But he said if I tried, he'd make sure I never saw Ryder again. Said he had connections, judges who owed him favors. That I'd look like an unfit mother. And when Ryder started asking questions, started snooping around, she closed her eyes. Dominic told me if Ryder didn't stop, there would be consequences. And you didn't warn him? I tried. I told Ryder to stay away from Dominic's office, to stop being so nosy. But he wouldn't listen. He said someone had to protect me. Tears ran down her face. And look what happened. My baby is in a coma because I was too weak to leave. This isn't your fault. Yes, it is. I brought that monster into our lives. I chose him. I stayed with him even when I knew what he was. I reached across the table, took her hand. Natalie, I need you to testify against him. I have evidence. Ryder recorded everything. But I need your testimony too. Her eyes went wide. He'll kill me. He won't get the chance. I'm going to the FBI today. They're going to arrest him. But you need to come with me. Tell them everything you just told me. She pulled her hand back. You don't understand. These people, the ones he works with, they don't just go away because someone gets arrested. They have reach. Resources. So do I. She looked at me. Really looked at me. Saw something in my face that made her sit back. What are you going to do? Whatever it takes to keep you and Ryder safe. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? A long silence. Then, slowly, she nodded. Okay. Yes. I'll testify. Good. Pack a bag. Don't tell Dominic where you're going. Meet me at the FBI office at 2 p.m. Can you do that? I think so. Don't think. Do. This ends today. She left first. I waited 5 minutes, paid for the coffee, and walked back to my truck. My phone rang. Hospital. Mr. Brennan? This is Dr. Patterson. Your son is waking up. I broke every speed limit getting back to the hospital. Parked sideways across 2 spots and ran through the lobby to the elevators. 3rd floor. ICU. Dr. Patterson was waiting outside Ryder's room. He's conscious, the doctor said. Vitals are strong. But take it easy. He's been through significant trauma. I nodded and pushed through the door. Ryder's eyes were open. Bloodshot, unfocused, but open. He turned his head slightly when he heard me enter, and when he saw me, his face crumpled. Dad, he whispered. His voice was raw, damaged from the breathing tube they'd removed an hour ago. I was at his side in 2 steps. Took his hand. I'm here, buddy. I'm right here. I messed up. Tears leaked from the corners of his eyes. I messed up so bad. No, you didn't. You were brave. You did everything right. He shot me. He kept shooting, and I thought I was going to die. My throat tightened. But you didn't. You fought. You survived. Mom, he said suddenly, trying to sit up. Pain flashed across his face, and he fell back. Dad, is Mom okay? He hurts her. I tried to stop him, but your mom's safe. I talked to her this morning. She's going to be okay. Did you see the videos? The files I saved. I saw everything. You did good, Ryder. You documented everything we need. He closed his eyes. I should have told you sooner. Should have called you when I first found out. But you were deployed and I thought I could handle it myself. I thought if I just got enough evidence, I could go to the cops and they'd arrest him and Mom would be safe. What happened that night? His breathing quickened. The heart monitor started beeping faster. I confronted him, told him I knew about the money laundering, the criminals he was working with, told him I had proof, and I was going to the police unless he left Mom alone. He swallowed hard. He laughed, said I was just a stupid kid who didn't understand how the world worked. Then he got angry, really angry, started yelling about how I was ruining everything, how I should have minded my own business. Where was your mom? Upstairs. She didn't know I was doing it. I waited until she was in the shower. His voice cracked. He grabbed me, slammed me against the wall. I pushed him back. Then he went to his desk drawer and pulled out his gun. I said stop. I said I'm sorry. I said I wouldn't tell anyone. But he just started shooting. The knife? I said quietly. The police found a knife. He put it there after. I was on the ground, bleeding, and he went to the kitchen and got the knife and wrapped my hand around it. I couldn't even fight back. I could barely move. He said if I survived, he'd tell everyone I attacked him. Said no one would believe a kid over him. Ryder's whole body was shaking now. Then Mom came running down and started screaming, and he called 911 and acted like he was the victim. I wanted to put my fist through a wall. Wanted to find Dominic and make him pay for every word, every lie, every bullet. But I stayed calm for Ryder. He's not getting away with it. I promise you. He has lawyers, Dad. Good ones. And connections. The detective who came to see me yesterday said the DA might not even press charges. They will. Because you're going to testify. And your mom is going to testify. And I have all the evidence you collected. Fear crossed his face. What if he comes back? What if he tries to finish? He won't. I've already talked to hospital security. There's an officer posted outside your door 24/7. And Dominic doesn't know you're awake yet. But when he finds out, let me worry about that. You just focus on getting better. A nurse came in, checked his monitors, adjusted his pain medication. You need rest, she said gently to Ryder. Your body's been through a lot. After she left, Ryder squeezed my hand. I'm scared, Dad. I know. But you don't have to be scared anymore. I'm here. And I'm not leaving. Promise. Promise. He closed his eyes, exhausted from the conversation. Within minutes, his breathing evened out. Not a coma this time. Real sleep. Healing sleep. I stepped out of the room. The security officer was already in place. A big guy named Torres who looked like he could handle himself. I gave him a description of Dominic. Told him under no circumstances was that man allowed near Ryder's room. Then I called Julian. Ryder's awake, I said. He confirmed everything. Dominic shot him in cold blood, planted the knife, and tried to cover it up as self-defense. That's attempted murder. Premeditated. I'm going to the FBI this afternoon. Natalie's coming with me. We're bringing everything. The videos, the financial records, her testimony, Ryder's testimony. Victor, be careful. If Dominic finds out you have that evidence before the FBI arrests him, he might run. Or worse. I know. That's why we're moving fast. I hung up and stood in the hallway, watching my son sleep through the window. He looked so young, so vulnerable. Those machines and tubes keeping him alive, monitoring every heartbeat. But he was a fighter. My son was a fighter. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Meet me alone or your ex-wife won't make it to the FBI. My blood went cold. I immediately called Natalie. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Hello. Her voice, shaky but alive. Where are you right now? Home. Why? What's wrong? Is Dominic there? No. He left for work an hour ago. Victor, what's happening? Lock all the doors. Don't open them for anyone, not even him. I'm sending someone to get you right now. You're scaring me. Good. Be scared. Stay alert. I'll explain everything when you're safe. I hung up and immediately called Julian. I need you to pick up Natalie from Dominic's house. Right now? Bring her somewhere safe. A hotel, your office, anywhere but that house. What happened? Dominic knows we're going to the FBI. He just threatened her. On my way. Next call, FBI Richmond Field Office. Asked for whoever handled organized crime and financial crimes. Got transferred 3 times before a voice answered. Special Agent Grant Castellano. Agent Castellano, my name is Victor Brennan. I have evidence of money laundering and attempted murder involving Russian organized crime, and I need protection for 2 witnesses. There was a pause. Mr. Brennan, that's quite a statement. Can you be more specific? Dominic Ashford, real estate developer. He's laundering money for a Russian national named Viktor Kozlov. And 4 days ago, he shot my 16-year-old son 9 times to cover it up. Another pause, longer this time. Wait, the Ashford case? The one that got ruled self-defense. It wasn't self-defense. It was attempted murder. My son discovered Ashford's operation and tried to expose it. Ashford silenced him. Or tried to. My son survived and documented everything. What kind of documentation? Videos, audio recordings, financial records, photographs, witness testimony. Everything you need to bring down Ashford and whoever he's working for. And you have all this? Yes. On multiple encrypted drives. Cloud backups. I'm former Navy SEAL. I know how to secure evidence. Grant's tone changed. Professional interest turned into genuine focus. Mr. Brennan, I've been investigating Dominic Ashford for 8 months. Had him connected to Kozlov, but couldn't prove it. Never had enough for a warrant. If what you're saying is true, it's true. And I need witness protection for my ex-wife and my son. Ashford just threatened my ex-wife's life. He knows we're coming to you. Where are you right now? Mercy General Hospital. My son's in ICU. Stay there. I'm coming to you with a team. 30 minutes. Don't talk to anyone. Don't leave that hospital. And if Ashford shows up, you call 911 immediately. Understood. He hung up. I checked my phone. The text from Dominic was still there, glowing on the screen like a threat. I didn't respond. Didn't give him anything. Instead, I went back into Ryder's room. He was still sleeping. I sat down in my usual chair and waited. 28 minutes later, Agent Grant Castellano walked into the ICU with 2 other agents. Grant was mid-40s, sharp eyes, ex-military bearing. I recognized it immediately. Mr. Brennan? He showed his badge. Let's talk. We went to a private consultation room down the hall. I showed him everything. Played the videos on Ryder's laptop. The audio recordings. Walked him through the financial documents. Explained the timeline. How Ryder discovered the operation, documented it for weeks, confronted Dominic, and got shot for it. Grant watched it all in silence. When the last video ended, he sat back and exhaled slowly. This is substantial. More than substantial. This is everything we needed and couldn't get. Can you arrest him? Yes. Today. We'll coordinate with the DA's office, get warrants for his arrest, his property, his business. But I need your son's testimony and your ex-wife's testimony on record. Officially, my son just woke up from a coma 2 hours ago. He's weak. Traumatized. I understand. We can wait a day or 2. But we'll need it eventually for trial. What about protection? Already arranged. Your ex-wife will be placed in protective custody until the arrest is made. After that, we'll assess the threat level. As for your son, I'm posting 2 federal agents outside his room starting immediately. Dominic Ashford won't get anywhere near him. The door opened. Julian walked in with Natalie. She looked terrified, confused, but alive. Safe. Victor, what's going on? She asked. I stood up. Natalie, this is Special Agent Grant Castellano. FBI. We're turning over all of Ryder's evidence. They're arresting Dominic today. Her knees almost gave out. Julian caught her, guided her to a chair. Today, she whispered. Grant nodded. Ma'am, I need you to tell me everything you know about your husband's activities. Every detail, every name, every transaction you witnessed. And she did. For the next hour, Natalie told Grant everything she'd told me that morning and more. About the cash, the visitors, the threats, the abuse, the night Ryder was shot, how she'd heard the argument escalate, heard Dominic's voice turn cold and lethal right before the gunshots. Grant recorded every word. Mrs. Ashford, he said when she finished, you're going to need to testify in court. Are you willing to do that? She looked at me. I nodded. Yes, she said. I'll testify. Good. We have enough for an arrest warrant. I'm going to coordinate with our tactical team and the DA. By tonight, Dominic Ashford will be in federal custody. Relief flooded through me. Finally, justice was coming. Grant stood. Mr. Brennan, thank you. You've done something most people couldn't. You've taken on a dangerous criminal organization and handed us a case we can win. I did what any father would do. No, Grant said quietly. Most fathers would have gone after Ashford with a gun and ended up in prison themselves. You did this the right way. That takes discipline. After they left to prepare the arrest, I walked Natalie back to Ryder's room. She stood at the doorway, looking at our son in that hospital bed, and broke down completely. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry I brought him into our lives. I'm sorry I didn't protect our baby. I put my arm around her shoulders. You're protecting him now. That's what matters. She looked up at me. How can you not hate me? Because hate doesn't fix anything. And Ryder needs both of us. We stood there together, watching our son sleep. Broken family finding its way back to something that looked like healing. My phone buzzed. Text from Grant. Warrant approved. Moving in now. 3 hours later, my phone rang. Grant Castellano. We have him. I closed my eyes. Tell me. We executed the warrant at his office. Caught him trying to delete files from his computer when we breached the door. His lawyer showed up 10 minutes later, but it didn't matter. We have him cold. Arrested him for attempted murder, money laundering, witness tampering, and conspiracy. He's being processed now. Did he resist? Verbally. Threatened lawsuits. Made calls to people he claimed could shut down the investigation. None of it worked. We also arrested Viktor Kozlov at his residence. Seized his computers, records, phones. This is bigger than just Ashford now. We're looking at a multi-state operation. What happens next? Arraignment tomorrow morning. Given the flight risk and severity of charges, we're recommending no bail. Judge will likely agree. Your son and ex-wife are safe, Mr. Brennan. After hanging up, I told Natalie. She sat down hard, like her legs had stopped working. It's really over? She asked. The dangerous part is. Now comes the legal part. She nodded, wiping tears. Can I stay here tonight? With Ryder? Of course. We took turns sitting with him. Around 8 p.m., Ryder woke again, more alert this time. When I told him Dominic had been arrested, the relief on his face was visible. He can't hurt anyone now. Ryder asked. No. He's locked up. And he's staying locked up. Good. He closed his eyes. That's good. The next morning, Natalie and I went to the federal courthouse for Dominic's arraignment. Agent Grant had gotten us seats in the gallery. The courtroom was packed. Media, FBI agents, prosecutors, and Dominic's expensive legal team. They brought him in wearing an orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed. He looked smaller somehow, less threatening. But when his eyes found mine across the courtroom, I saw pure hatred there. I stared back. Didn't blink. Didn't look away. The judge, a stern woman named Ophelia Hart, reviewed the charges. Attempted murder in the first degree. Multiple counts of money laundering. Witness tampering. Conspiracy to commit fraud. The list went on. Dominic's lawyer, a slick guy in a $3,000 suit, argued for bail. Your Honor, my client is a respected businessman with deep ties to the community. He's not a flight risk. Your client tried to murder a 16-year-old boy to cover up criminal activity. Judge Hart interrupted. He has substantial financial resources and documented connections to international criminals. Bail denied. Remanded to federal custody pending trial. The gavel came down. Dominic's face went white. He said something to his lawyer, urgent and angry. But it didn't matter. They led him away. Natalie grabbed my hand and squeezed. Thank you, she whispered. Over the next 3 weeks, Ryder improved dramatically. Physical therapy helped him regain strength. The doctors removed tubes one by one. He started eating real food, walking short distances, laughing at videos Mason sent him. Agent Grant visited regularly with updates. They'd seized millions from Dominic's accounts. Found evidence linking him to at least 7 other criminal enterprises. Viktor Kozlov was cooperating, giving up names and locations in exchange for a reduced sentence. The investigation had expanded to 3 states and involved multiple federal agencies. "This is going to be a major case," Grant told me one afternoon in the hospital cafeteria. "Your son's evidence is the foundation of everything. He might have saved dozens of lives by exposing this operation. He was just trying to protect his mom. That's what heroes do, Mr. Brennan. They see something wrong and they act, even when it's dangerous." The trial date was set for 3 months out. Grant warned us it would be intense. Dominic's lawyers were going to attack our credibility, claim the evidence was manufactured, paint Ryder as a troubled kid who attacked an innocent man. "Let them try," I said. "We have the truth." Meanwhile, Natalie filed for divorce. With Dominic in prison, the process was straightforward. She also started seeing a therapist, working through the trauma of the abuse she'd endured. One evening, about a month after the arrest, she came to the hospital and asked if we could talk privately. We went to the same consultation room where I'd first met with Agent Grant. "I need to tell you something," she said, "and I need you to listen without interrupting." "Okay." I was wrong about so many things. Wrong to marry Dominic so quickly after our divorce. Wrong to ignore the red flags. Wrong to not protect Ryder better. She paused. "But I was also wrong about you." I started to speak, but she held up a hand. "When we got divorced, I told myself you were never home, that you cared more about being a SEAL than being a husband and father. Some of that was true. But watching you these past weeks, how you fought for Ryder, how you didn't give up, how you did everything right even when it would have been easier to just handle Dominic yourself the violent way, I see now who you really are. And I'm sorry I didn't see it before. Natalie, I'm not saying I want to get back together. Too much has happened. But I want to be better at co-parenting. I want Ryder to have both of us, working together, not fighting each other." I nodded. "I want that too." "Good." She smiled, small but genuine. "Because I think we can give him something better than what we had. Something healthier." That night, sitting with Ryder while he slept, I thought about everything that had happened. The phone call that changed everything. The investigation. The evidence. The arrest. And now, the slow climb toward healing. My phone buzzed. Text from Grant. "Grand jury returned indictments on all charges. Trial starts January 12th. Time to finish this." I looked at my son. His color was back. His breathing steady and strong. January came fast. Ryder was out of the hospital by then, living with Natalie in a small apartment the FBI helped her secure. He still had physical therapy twice a week, still had nightmares, but he was healing, getting stronger every day. The morning the trial started, we all drove to the federal courthouse together. Ryder wore a button-down shirt that hung a little loose on his frame. He'd lost weight during recovery. Natalie held his hand as we walked through the metal detectors. "You ready?" I asked him. He nodded, but I could see the fear in his eyes. "What if they don't believe me?" "They will, because you're telling the truth." The courtroom was huge, intimidating. Dark wood panels, high ceilings, the seal of the United States mounted above the judge's bench. Media filled half the gallery. I spotted reporters I recognized from national news networks. This case had gotten attention. Navy SEAL's son shot by stepfather. Uncovered criminal empire, Russian mob connections. It had everything the media loved. Dominic sat at the defense table in a gray suit, looking like a respectable businessman instead of a criminal. His legal team surrounded him, for lawyers, all expensive, all ruthless. Lead counsel was a woman named Patricia Webb, known for getting wealthy clients acquitted on technicalities. Judge Hart entered. Everyone stood. "The United States versus Dominic Ashford," she announced. "We're here for opening statements." The prosecution went first. Assistant U.S. Attorney named Marcus Holloway, sharp and prepared. He laid out the case methodically. The money laundering operation. Victor Kozlov. The shell companies. And then Ryder, a 16-year-old boy who discovered his stepfather's crimes and paid for it with 9 bullets. The defendant didn't just shoot Ryder Brennan, Marcus said, walking toward the jury. He executed him. 9 shots. 9. Even after the boy fell. Even after he begged for his life. Because Ryder Brennan was a witness. A threat. And Dominic Ashford eliminates threats. Then Patricia Webb stood for the defense. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a case about organized crime or money laundering. Those charges are separate and will be addressed separately. This is a case about self-defense. About a man protecting himself when a violent teenager attacked him with a deadly weapon. She gestured toward Dominic. My client is a victim. A victim of a troubled young man's aggression. A victim of overzealous prosecution. And by the end of this trial, you'll see that clearly. I wanted to stand up and call her a liar. But I stayed seated. Stayed calm. The prosecution called their first witness. Medical examiner Dr. Sarah Chun. She testified about Ryder's injuries. 9 entry wounds. 8 bullets removed. Trajectory patterns showing Ryder was likely on the ground for at least 5 of the shots. Patricia Webb cross-examined hard. Isn't it possible those trajectory patterns could be consistent with someone lunging forward with a knife? It's unlikely given that, but possible? Anything is possible, but thank you, doctor. No further questions. Next came Detective Blake Morrison. He walked through the crime scene evidence. The knife. The blood patterns. The 911 call. On cross-examination, Webb played the 911 recording for the jury. Dominic's voice, panicked and shaken. I shot him. Oh God, I shot him. He attacked me with a knife, and I had to defend myself. Please send an ambulance. Several jurors looked sympathetic. Then it was Natalie's turn. She walked to the witness stand slowly, sworn in, sat down. Her hands were shaking. Marcus approached gently. Mrs. Ashford, can you describe your relationship with the defendant? He was my husband. We got married 2 years ago. And during that marriage, did you ever witness violent behavior from Mr. Ashford? Patricia Webb shot to her feet. Objection. Relevance. Your Honor, this speaks to the defendant's character and propensity for violence. Marcus argued. I'll allow it. Overruled. Natalie took a breath. Yes. He hit me. Multiple times over the past year. He threatened me. Controlled where I went, who I talked to. I was afraid of him. Did your son know about this abuse? Yes. Ryder saw the bruises. He confronted Dominic about it several times. And how did the defendant respond to those confrontations? He told Ryder to mind his own business. Said if Ryder caused problems, there would be consequences. Marcus played one of Ryder's videos. The one where Dominic threatened that Ryder was a problem that needed to be dealt with. Several jurors leaned forward, watching intently. Webb's cross-examination was brutal. She questioned Natalie's memory, suggested she was lying to protect her son, implied she was bitter about the marriage failing and wanted revenge. Isn't it true you're divorcing my client? Webb asked. Yes. And seeking substantial financial compensation? I just want to be safe. Or you want money and you're willing to destroy an innocent man's reputation to get it. Objection. Marcus stood. Counsel is testifying. Sustained. MS. Webb, ask questions, don't make speeches. Then came Ryder. My son walked to the stand, still limping slightly. He placed his hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. When he sat down, he looked small in that chair. Marcus led him through the testimony carefully. What he discovered, how he documented it, why he confronted Dominic. I just wanted him to leave my mom alone, Ryder said quietly. I thought if I had proof, I could make him stop hurting her. What happened when you confronted the defendant? He laughed at first, said I was just a stupid kid. Then he got angry, grabbed me, slammed me against the wall. I pushed him away, and that's when he pulled out his gun. Did you have a weapon? No, I didn't. I swear I didn't. What happened next? Ryder's voice broke. He shot me. I fell down. I said I was sorry. I said I wouldn't tell anyone. But he kept shooting. I counted 6 more times after I was already on the ground. Then everything went black. The courtroom was dead silent. Webb's cross-examination tried to shake his story, suggested he was confused, traumatized, remembering things wrong. But Ryder didn't budge. I know what happened to me, he said firmly. and I'm telling the truth. The prosecution rested after 2 weeks of testimony. Then the defense began. Webb called character witnesses, business partners who said Dominic was honest, neighbors who said he was kind, his own sister who cried on the stand. She called an expert who claimed Ryder's videos could have been edited, another expert who said the shooting pattern was consistent with self-defense. But then, on the 8th day of defense testimony, something unexpected happened. A man in the gallery stood up, middle-aged, nervous, sweating. "Your Honor," he called out, "I need to testify. I have information about this case." Judge Hart banged her gavel. "Sir, sit down. You can't just—" "My name is Adrian Kozlov, Victor's brother, and Dominic Ashford tried to have me killed last year when I wanted out of the operation." The courtroom exploded. Judge Hart slammed her gavel repeatedly. "Order. Order in this court." Security moved toward Adrian, but Marcus Holloway stood quickly. "Your Honor, we request permission to question this witness. His testimony is directly relevant to the defendant's character and history of violence." Patricia Webb was on her feet. "Objection. This is a circus. This man hasn't been vetted, hasn't been deposed. He's Victor Kozlov's brother." Marcus interrupted. "He was part of the criminal organization the defendant worked with. His testimony goes to motive and pattern of behavior." Judge Hart looked at Adrian, who stood trembling in the gallery. "Mr. Kozlov, you understand you can be charged with perjury if you lie under oath?" "Yes, ma'am. I understand. But I can't stay quiet anymore. Not after hearing that boy's testimony." She considered for a long moment. "I'll allow it. But Mr. Holloway, this better be relevant." "It is, Your Honor." Adrian was sworn in. He sat in the witness chair, avoiding Dominic's eyes. I could see Dominic whispering furiously to Webb, his face red with rage. Marcus approached carefully. "Mr. Kozlov, please tell the court your relationship to this case." "I worked with my brother Victor and Dominic Ashford for 3 years. We laundered money through Dominic's real estate properties, cash from various operations. I kept the books, managed the transfers." "And what happened when you wanted out?" "Last year, I told my brother I was done. I wanted to leave, start over somewhere else. He said I knew too much, that I was a liability. 2 weeks later, someone broke into my apartment and shot at me. Missed by inches. I got a message the next day. Next time we won't miss. Stay quiet." "Who sent that message?" "I don't know for sure. But 3 days before the shooting, I overheard Dominic on the phone saying I was becoming a problem that needed to be handled permanently." "Objection," Webb shouted. "Hearsay." "Your Honor, this speaks to the defendant's pattern of eliminating witnesses," Marcus argued. "I'll allow it. Continue." Adrian looked directly at the jury. "When I heard about what happened to Ryder Brennan, I knew. I knew Dominic did the same thing to that kid that he tried to do to me. Eliminate a witness. Silence someone who knew too much." Webb's cross-examination was vicious. She attacked Adrian's credibility, pointed out he was a criminal himself, suggested he was testifying to reduce his own sentence. "Aren't you facing charges yourself, Mr. Kozlov?" "Yes." "And didn't the prosecution offer you a deal in exchange for this testimony?" "They offered me protection, not a deal. I came forward on my own because I couldn't live with staying silent." After Adrian stepped down, the defense strategy shifted. Webb became more aggressive, more desperate. She called an expert witness, Dr. Kenneth Price, a forensic psychologist. He testified that Ryder might be suffering from false memories due to trauma, that his testimony couldn't be trusted. The human mind, especially a young traumatized mind, can create narratives that feel real but aren't factually accurate, Dr. Price said. "It's possible Ryder Brennan believes his version of events, but that doesn't make it true." Then Webb turned her attention to me. She didn't call me as a witness. The prosecution hadn't either, strategically keeping me out of the testimony. But she brought me into her closing narrative. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said during a sidebar argument that the jury couldn't hear, "we need to consider who really orchestrated this prosecution. Victor Brennan, a Navy SEAL, trained in psychological operations, intelligence gathering, evidence fabrication. A man with the skills and motivation to frame my client. Judge Hart's eyes narrowed. Ms. Webb, are you accusing a decorated veteran of fabricating evidence? I'm suggesting the jury should consider all possibilities. Marcus stood. Your Honor, this is outrageous. Mr. Brennan has cooperated fully with law enforcement. There's zero evidence he tampered with anything. I agree, Judge Hart said coldly. Ms. Webb, tread carefully. Another baseless accusation like that, and I'll hold you in contempt. But Webb wasn't done. The next day, she called her own forensic expert who claimed the videos could have been edited, that the metadata was suspicious. The prosecution countered by calling 3 independent experts who confirmed the videos were authentic, unedited, and verified through multiple sources. Then Marcus did something brilliant. He called my commanding officer from the Navy, Captain Preston Walsh. Preston took the stand in his dress uniform, medals displayed. He testified about my record. 15 years of exemplary service. Multiple commendations for integrity and honor. Not a single disciplinary action. Would Victor Brennan fabricate evidence? Marcus asked. Absolutely not, Preston said firmly. Brennan is one of the most honorable men I've ever served with. He operates by a code. Truth, justice, mission above self. He wouldn't compromise that for anything. Webb tried to cross-examine, but Preston shut her down at every turn. The trial dragged on. More witnesses. More experts. More arguments. But I could see it in the jury's faces. They believed Ryder. Believed Natalie. Believed the evidence. Then, on the final day of testimony before closing arguments, something broke. Webb was questioning the prosecution's financial expert about the money laundering charges when she made a mistake. A big one. Isn't it true that my client had legitimate reasons for taking out a life insurance policy on his stepson? She asked. The courtroom went silent. Marcus stood slowly. I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Webb's face went pale. She'd just revealed something that wasn't in evidence. Something her team had discovered during their investigation but hadn't disclosed. Your Honor, Marcus said, the defense just referenced a life insurance policy we weren't aware of. I moved to compel disclosure. Judge Hart looked at Webb. Counselor, Webb stammered. Your Honor, that was... I misspoke. There's no... Don't lie to me, Ms. Webb. Is there a life insurance policy or not? Dominic grabbed Webb's arm, whispered urgently. But it was too late. There is, Webb admitted. My client took out a policy on his stepson 4 months ago. But it was just standard family protection, for months before he shot him. Marcus said, Your Honor, this is evidence of premeditation. The defense has been hiding it. The judge called a recess. When we reconvened an hour later, Webb was forced to turn over the insurance documents. A $2 million policy on Ryder's life, with Dominic as the sole beneficiary. Taken out 3 months before the shooting. Marcus requested to recall Adrian Kozlov. Under questioning, Adrian revealed that Dominic had asked him 4 months ago how to make a death look like self-defense. The jury's faces changed. Whatever doubt Webb had planted was gone. Dominic wasn't a man defending himself. He was a calculating killer who'd planned to murder his stepson for insurance money and to silence a witness. When court adjourned that day, I saw Dominic being led away in cuffs. He looked at me one last time. Not with hatred now, with fear. He finally understood what I'd known from the beginning. He'd messed with the wrong family. Closing arguments came 2 days later. Marcus Holloway stood before the jury, his voice calm but powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about truth versus lies. About a boy who saw evil and tried to stop it. About a man who would rather kill a child than face justice. He walked along the jury box, making eye contact with each juror. Dominic Ashford shot Ryder Brennan 9 times. Not in self-defense, not in fear, but in cold calculation. He shot him because Ryder knew the truth. Because Ryder had evidence. Because Ryder was brave enough to stand up and say this is wrong. Marcus pointed to the evidence table. You've seen the videos. Heard the recordings. Seen the financial documents. You've heard from Ryder himself, from his mother, from Adrian Kozlov. And you've learned about that insurance policy. $2 million, taken out months before the shooting. This wasn't self-defense. This was execution. Premeditated murder. And the only reason we're here for attempted murder instead of murder is because Ryder Brennan is a fighter. Because he refused to die. He paused, letting that sink in. Dominic Ashford thought he could get away with it. Thought he could plant a knife, call 911, play the victim, and walk free. But he didn't count on one thing. The truth always surfaces. Always. And now it's your job to make sure that truth leads to justice. Patricia Webb's closing was desperate. She attacked the evidence, called the witnesses unreliable, painted Dominic as a victim of overzealous prosecution and a vindictive family. But her voice lacked conviction. Everyone in that courtroom knew she was fighting a losing battle. Judge Hart gave the jury their instructions. They filed out to deliberate at 2:47 p.m. And then we waited. Ryder, Natalie, and I sat together in a private room the prosecution had arranged. Hours passed. Ryder dozed off on the couch, exhausted from the stress. Natalie stared at her hands. "Victor," she said quietly, "can I ask you something?" "Yeah." "Do you think, if I'd been stronger back then, if I'd left him when I first knew something was wrong, do you think this all could have been avoided?" I looked at her, really looked at her, saw the guilt etched in every line of her face. "You can't think like that," I said. "Abuse isn't logical. It's not your fault he was a monster. It's his. But I brought him into Ryder's life, and you also got him out. You testified. You stood up. That takes courage." She wiped her eyes. "I should have been that brave from the beginning. Maybe. But you're brave now. That's what matters." We sat in silence for a while. Then she spoke again. "I was a terrible wife to you. I blamed you for everything. The deployments, the absences, the distance. But watching you these past months, you never gave up on Ryder. Not for a second. I see now that you were always that father, even when I couldn't see it. I wasn't perfect either," I said. "I chose the mission over my family too many times. Missed birthdays, anniversaries, moments I can't get back. We both made mistakes. But we can do better now, right? For Ryder." "Yeah, we can do better." Ryder stirred, woke up, sat up slowly, wincing slightly. His body was still healing. "What time is it?" he asked. "Almost 7. They've been deliberating for 4 hours. He rubbed his face. "Is that good or bad?" "It's thorough," I said. "They're taking it seriously." "Dad," his voice was soft, uncertain. "After this is all over, I want to talk to you about something." "What is it?" "The military. I've been thinking. I want to serve. Like you. Maybe not SEALs right away, but something. I want to protect people. Make a difference." My throat tightened. "Ryder, you don't have to prove anything. It's not about proving anything. It's about who I want to be. You showed me that you can fight for what's right without becoming like the bad guys. You could have killed Dominic. Would have been easy for you. But you did it the right way. That's the kind of man I want to be." I pulled him into a hug, careful of his still healing ribs. "I'm proud of you, son. Whatever you choose." At 7:42 p.m., we got the call. The jury had reached a verdict. We rushed back to the courtroom. The gallery was packed again. Media, FBI agents, people who'd been following the case. Dominic was brought in, his face unreadable. Judge Hart entered. Everyone stood. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" she asked. The foreman, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, stood. "We have, Your Honor. On the charge of attempted murder in the first degree, how do you find?" "Guilty," Natalie gasped. Ryder grabbed my hand. "On the charge of money laundering?" "Guilty." "Witness tampering?" "Guilty." "Conspiracy to commit fraud?" "Guilty." "Every charge." "Guilty on every single count." Dominic's face went white. His lawyers surrounded him, whispering urgently. But it was over. Judge Hart scheduled sentencing for 2 weeks later. When that day came, the courtroom was just as packed. Marcus argued for the maximum. This defendant showed no remorse. No mercy. He shot a child 9 times and would have let him die to protect his criminal enterprise. He deserves the maximum penalty under law. Webb argued for leniency, cited Dominic's lack of prior convictions, his contributions to the community. It rang hollow. Judge Hart looked at Dominic. Mr. Ashford, do you have anything to say before I pass sentence? Dominic stood. For a moment, I thought he might apologize, might show some humanity. I maintain my innocence, he said coldly. This conviction is a miscarriage of justice. Judge Hart's expression hardened. Mr. Ashford, the evidence against you was overwhelming. The jury saw through your lies. And frankly, so do I. She put on her glasses, reviewed the sentencing guidelines. For attempted murder in the first degree, 25 years. Money laundering, 10 years. Witness tampering, 5 years. Additional charges, 5 years. Sentences to run consecutively. Total, 45 years in federal prison without possibility of parole. The gavel came down. 45 years. Dominic would be 87 years old when he got out. If he lived that long. They led him away. As he passed our row, he looked at me one last time. I stared back, my face neutral. But my eyes said everything. You lost. Justice won. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Microphones, cameras, questions shouted from every direction. Marcus handled most of it, but they wanted to hear from Ryder. My son stood on the courthouse steps, small but strong, and spoke clearly. I just want to thank everyone who believed me. The prosecutors, the FBI, the jury, and my dad. He never gave up. That's what heroes do. They fight for what's right, no matter how hard it gets. That night, the three of us went to dinner. Nothing fancy, just a diner. We ate burgers and talked about the future. About healing. About rebuilding. For the first time in months, we felt like a family again. Different. Broken in places. But healing. 6 months after the trial, I stood in the bleachers of Jefferson High School's football stadium, watching Ryder run drills with his team. Physical therapy had worked miracles. He'd regained full mobility, gotten stronger, even put on muscle. The scars were still there, 9 raised lines across his chest that would never fully fade. But he wore them differently now, not as marks of victimhood, but as proof he'd survived. Natalie sat beside me, cheering when Ryder caught a pass and sprinted downfield. Her apartment was small but comfortable. She'd started working again, managing a bookstore downtown. The bruises were long gone. The fear in her eyes had been replaced with something else. Peace, maybe. Or at least the beginning of it. He's fast, she said, smiling. Faster than before. He's motivated, I replied. Told me last week he wants to try out for varsity next year. You think he'll make it? Yeah. He's a fighter. Always has been. After practice, Ryder jogged over, sweaty and grinning. Did you see that catch? Saw it. That was all you. No help from the defender. He laughed, took a long drink from his water bottle. Coach says if I keep improving, I might get a scholarship offer. Maybe not Division I, but something. That's great, son. Yeah. His smile faded slightly. I've also been thinking about after college. The military thing. I'm serious about it, Dad. I know you are. Will you help me? When the time comes. Help me prepare. I put my hand on his shoulder. Every step of the way. We drove back to Natalie's apartment together. She'd invited me for dinner. Something that happened more regularly now. Not romantic. Just co-parenting done right. Shared meals, shared conversations about Ryder's future, shared healing. Over spaghetti and garlic bread, we talked about everything and nothing. School, football, Ryder's plans to take a summer EMT course. Normal things. Family things. Later that evening, after Natalie had gone to bed, Ryder and I sat on the apartment balcony. The Richmond skyline glowed in the distance. Warm summer air, crickets chirping, the sound of traffic far below. Dad, can I ask you something? Ryder said quietly. Always. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I died that night? The question hit me hard. I took a moment before answering. Every day. Really? Yeah. Every day I think about how close I came to losing you. How one more bullet in the wrong place, one more minute without medical care, and you wouldn't be here. It's the thing that wakes me up at night. He nodded slowly. I think about it too. About what it felt like, lying there, thinking I was going to die. I was so scared, Dad. So scared. I know, son. But you know what I thought about? In those last seconds before I passed out. What? You. I thought about you. About how you always said a SEAL never quits, never gives up, fights until there's nothing left to fight with. And I thought, I can't quit. Can't give up. Dad wouldn't. His voice cracked. So I held on. Kept breathing. Kept fighting. Because that's what you taught me. My eyes burned. I pulled him close. I'm so damn proud of you, Ryder. Not because you survived. Not because you testified. But because of who you are. The man you're becoming. We sat there in silence for a while, father and son, survivors both. 3 weeks later, I attended Ryder's school assembly. The principal had asked him to speak to the student body about courage and standing up for what's right. I sat in the back of the auditorium, watching my son walk to the podium. He looked nervous at first, gripping the sides of the podium. But then he found his voice. Most of you know what happened to me last year, he began. I got shot. 9 times. By my stepfather. Because I discovered he was doing something wrong, and I tried to stop it. He paused. People ask me if I regret it. If I wish I'd just stayed quiet, minded my own business, kept my head down. And honestly, sometimes I do. Sometimes I think about how much easier my life would have been if I'd just ignored what I saw. The auditorium was silent. But then I think about my mom. About how she's free now. Safe. And I think about all the other people my stepfather hurt. People who'll get justice because I spoke up. And I realize it was worth it. Not the pain. Not the fear. But the outcome. Because staying silent when you see evil, that makes you part of it. And I couldn't live with that. He looked directly at the audience. I'm not saying you should all become whistleblowers or put yourselves in danger. But I am saying this. When you see something wrong, when you know something isn't right, you have a choice. Be brave enough to do something about it. Because the world changes when good people refuse to stay quiet. The auditorium erupted in applause. Students stood, teachers stood, everyone stood. And I stood too, tears running down my face, clapping for my son. After the assembly, dozens of students came up to Ryder, thanked him, told him their own stories, asked him questions. And he handled it all with grace and humility. Driving home that afternoon, he turned to me. Dad, yeah, I'm okay now. I mean, I still have nightmares sometimes. Still get scared. But I'm okay. We're okay. Yeah, I said, smiling. We are. That night, I sat alone in my apartment and thought about everything that had happened. The phone call that changed everything. The investigation. The trial. The verdict. The healing. Dominic was in prison, serving 45 years. Viktor Kozlov had taken a plea deal, was cooperating with federal prosecutors to dismantle the entire criminal network. Adrian Kozlov was in witness protection, starting a new life somewhere safe. And us? We were healing, moving forward, building something better from the broken pieces. My phone buzzed. Text from Ryder. Love you, Dad. Thanks for never giving up on me. I typed back. Love you too, son. I'll never give up on you. Ever. Outside my window, the sun was setting over Virginia. Another day ending. Another day survived. Another day to be grateful for. Because at the end of it all, justice had been served. Not through revenge. Not through violence. But through truth, perseverance, and the refusal to let evil win. That's what being a SEAL really meant. Not the combat. Not the missions. But the code. The commitment. The promise to protect what matters most. Family. Truth. Justice. And I kept that promise. We'd all kept that promise. So here's what I want to know. Where in the world are you watching this story from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I genuinely love knowing that these stories reach people everywhere, from different places, different backgrounds, all connected by the need to hear truth win over lies. And if this story touched you, if Ryder's courage inspired you, if you believe in justice and family and never giving up, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to Betrayal Stories Lab. Not because I'm asking, but because you want more stories like this. Stories where the good guys win. Where truth matters. Where families heal. What kind of stories do you want to hear next? Military justice? Family betrayal? Revenge served cold? Epic comebacks? Tell me in the comments what types of stories you love, what themes grab your heart, what narratives you can't get enough of. Because I'm here to bring you exactly the stories you want to hear. We'll meet again in the next thriller, the next epic revenge story that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Until then, take care of yourself. Take care of your family. And remember, truth always wins in the end. Always.